Yo, everyone, what's up? So it's DGK today. Um, Basically, I'm going to be doing a theory video from the caramel reveal that we had for the mother caramel. And I'm sure the translations will change the exact name of it for the moniker of her. But basically, like my theory video, to make it quick and short, is we see that there's a new character involved in the new arc for Whole Cake Island, and her name's Miss Caramel so far. And she's a big role model or a savior, whatever you want to call it, to Big Mom, which is very strange since we don't really know a lot about Big Mom's past. And before I start, is one big thing that I believe in that I've noticed with Oda is he puts in a lot of work to detail the backstories of a lot of characters in terms of like the villains, such as Dofi with his strings, and being a puppeteer, as well as having the backstory of like being a fallen demon from the sky in terms of Mary Joa. And I'm sure Kaido and even Blackbeard will have something similar later to explain to the viewers like why they're evil. And so with Big Mom, like one big thing that we made on Our Haven was the theory that she was a dwarf giant, and I 100% still believe in that. And going along with my theory, because one thing that we know is that she has issues before even the little incident with Elbaf. They were basically at a feud, uh, which is interesting, being that Big Mom, we know she was around the time of Roger's era, which was about 40, 50 years ago. And one big thing that I believe for Miss Caramel is she was a savior, a friend, very similar to someone like Belmir um, for Nami, which was a big, big person to kind of change her ways, being that Nami was an orphan. And so, like, in my point of view, is that I believe Miss Carol basically is going to be the actual rescuer of Big Mom from Elbaf. Um, and what I believe is that maybe that Big Mom itself might have ties to the royal family, since there is no current king and there's only a prince for Loki for Elbaf. And so what I think is that Miss Caramel either was going to be or is a person that works with the world government. And like where the theory kind of comes from for anyone that's familiar with the series is the new series Promised Neverland, which they basically have a mother figure in there, and that's kind of how I see Miss Caramel, but in a good way. So basically, I think that Miss Caramel was working for the government, and because we know that they were trying to test out giantification techniques, similar how Big Mom's trying to do it now, which is why you see kind of like huge humanoid people such as the admirals, um, that shouldn't kind of exist unless they are by definition giant related. And so I think that what happened with Miss Caramel is I think she saved um, Big Mom from the testing because I'm assuming at one point in time the government had to eventually gone to Elbaf to take some of their people, similar to how we have with the kids from Punk Hazard, to test out how to get giant DNA on their people. Because as we know, giants are basically base stats strong enough to be vice admirals, as we saw Marineford. And we saw, I believe, 5 to 6 giants there. But the one interesting point that I had on Miss Kirby is I actually think that she's going to be the blood mother of Pudding. And I've been saying this for a while, and not just the caramel thing, but in general, is that I don't think that Pudding is the blood relation of Big Mom. The only thing that would go against that would be we see people like Anna Pineapple, which is a little daughter that want to play with knives and stuff like that, who looks very similar to Pudding. But knowing that the three-eyed race basically is a race that's kind of seemingly been hunted, as you can assume that because they can awaken their eye and read the poneglyphs, that they wouldn't want, as I should say, the Gorsai and the government wouldn't want them in existence anymore, if they're not on the Gorsai side. And so my guess is that Miss Caramel uh, was basically Pudding's blood mother, in the sense that we know that Pudding has a Cafe Caramel. She's the owner of it, and that's kind of her pride and joy from what we saw on the Chocolate Island, Cocoa Island. And so my guess is that Pudding is kind of like the representation of like the good side of Big Mom, and why she loves her so much was if Caramel was the savior for Big Mom, I could see her looking at Pudding the same way if she is the direct daughter of Miss Caramel. Um, and so I think once we see the picture, personally, I think it's going to be something that's going to like kind of indicate to us that that is Pudding's mother. Most likely, she'll look the same, same hair, the Pudding style hair for color. And one big thing too, I think, is that again, I've always said is I think Pudding's good, and I think the reason she has to do what she's doing is I think she kind of wrote herself into Big Mom's memories, or kind of just got into their group as like a kind of like not hostage per se, but just as someone who is being protected by Big Mom. But think of it similar to Robin with Crocodile, how she wasn't really friends with him, but because she was on the run from the government, that would be the best place to hide, somewhere she can't get hurt. And so I think that's the same with Pudding, is she was either left off by Caramel in Big Mom's protection, or she sought out Big Mom herself. And so basically my big theory and conclusion, to make it kind of short, is I think that Big Mom savior from LBAF for the testing project of the geification techniques for the government was Caramel. So I think that she was either maybe even a scientist, but most likely not. I think she's just a caretaker that rescued Big Mom. And then again, I believe that she is from the three-eyed race. I think she's going to be the direct bloodline of the three-eyed race, and so like a full-blooded person. And then her daughter, her direct bloodline daughter, would be Pudding. And so that's kind of my theory in a nutshell is I think once we get to the wedding, once we see the portrait, it's going to shock a lot of people that it is going to look a lot, if not exactly like Pudding. And I think that's going to be kind of where we see the good Pudding, in a sense, come out. If she does see Luffy and Sanji as a savior, someone that could rescue her from this place. And it would be kind of cool to see like some sort of backstory with Pudding that would maybe allow her to become like a good terms, kind of like Vivi style or Rebecca style with the Straw Hats after this island's over. Because I still am on the boat that Whole Cake Island's going to turn into like a Luffy or Sanji befriends Big Mom by saving Pudding. Because I think Pudding's the most important daughter to her solely because of the relation with her savior, Caramel. And I'll probably try to re-upload this theory to Outer Haven since I know we can have something there. Oh, what's up, Billy Bob? But yeah, so I'm gonna try to probably do if I can't re-upload this theory directly, I'll probably just make like a short 5 to 10 minute video on Outer Haven, even maybe later today. Kind of saying what I said here. And so, like I said, basically in short, again, I'll say it one last time: is Pudding is gonna be the direct bloodline daughter of Caramel. They're gonna look the same. Luffy's probably gonna realize it, or Sanji, when they're trying to tear up the picture. And I think that's what's gonna spiral the arc into the idea of being a rescue arc for Pudding, maybe. And I believe the dress she's wearing right now might have relations um, to Caramel, but we'll see. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See ya.